sharing our stories connects us. Listen and be connected. Join us for the conversation meeting weekly at the intersection of community and culture. Hosted by Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter. Here we go. It's Wednesday. It is noon, actually noon 06 and 30 seconds. And that can mean one thing and one thing only. It is the conversation on WMNF 88.5 FM Tampa, WMNF.org. My name is Mario Nunez, as you just heard that announcer say. And alongside, I'm seated always, as always, Wednesdays. Hey, sir, what's your name?
Joe King Carter.
You got three names? Let's
I
ring
do.
a bell for a three-name guy.
That's only because, folks, there's a whole bunch of Joe Carters out there, and so I had to go that
I
route.
thought it was something more like, Lee Harvey Oswald or John Wayne Gacy or James Earl Ray. I mean, because people like that in history historically have three names.
Well, there's Martin Luther King.
Well, that's a good one.
There you
Okay,
go.
all right. So you just righted the ship. Thank you for setting me straight on that, Joey. All right, my brother. So listen,
Yes.
as we do each and every week here on The Conversation, how was your week, man? What'd you do in your week off?
Oh, I've just had life. Life is amazing.
And
isn't
doesn't it get in the way sometimes?
Oh, yeah. It's, it's ups and downs and positives and negatives, and we live in the dimension of polar extremes.
Tell us about what happened to you yesterday, Joey, because you called me frazzled. Share with
Oh.
our community, because you know what they need to know as they're
they don't
driving
need-
around right now.
I had a small fender bender in traffic, and no one was hurt. And
That's not what you said yesterday.
But it was traumatic.
Well, yeah, of
Because
course it is.
Everything like that is. Once you've had a little accident in an automobile, you don't want to drive an automobile anymore.
Yeah.
Your nerves are rattled. What happens is it's like anything else. You for the next couple, 3 times you grip the wheel and you're in traffic, heavy traffic, which is everywhere all day now in Tampa and in the surrounding area, you just get a little nervous.
Yeah,
Your confidence is rattled. Look, I was driving over here today to the studio, and you're on 275 and you're going at breakneck pace and you're keeping flow. And I remember distinctly from driver's ed class, Joey, and see if you remember this as well.
Mm-hmm.
They always told us, you follow the car in front of you. You go 10 miles an hour. 10 miles. It's one car length for every 10 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So if you're
right.
going 60,
Yeah.
you want to be 6 car lengths.
I do that.
I do that too.
But very few other people do
I
it.
do that, and I've got these little spider sensies on the back of my neck that tells me when I'm too close.
Yeah.
It lets me know, dude, you're too close.
Yeah.
Because your reaction time is not compromised, and maybe your brakes won't
And
work.
all of this is floating around the issue that we have a problem with
Traffic.
traffic congestion, and if we only had some good mass transit in place to help us with that.
Maybe our guest today will be able to help us mitigate some of that, or at least talk us down from the ledge.
There
Hey,
you go.
Joe, before we get to our guest today who's sitting there patiently waiting, and her name, I'll give you a little hint. It's Angela Birdsong. For those of you that might know Angela, she is sitting waiting to talk to us. I do want to say right at the top of the show that we are still a little bit short of our fundraising drive, but we're getting closer and closer to satisfying our goal. Joe, I want to say thank you to Manny, to Alex, to Mike, Jeremy, Tamara, Elizabeth, Beverly, Bob, Joseph, and just today, I got a donation, a charitable donation, $100 donation from Marvin Knight, owner of the Oriental Fish Market.
Wow.
So Marvin, thank you so much. I'll see you Sunday at Lowry Park, Marvin, because if there's anybody we know who knows how to put on a fish fry, it's Marvin
Ooh,
Knight.
love those fish fries. Are you saying that all of those people loved us?
They loved us.
Oh, that's
And
that's
they showed
wonderful.
some love. They sent us a few ducats, and we are eternally grateful. So if you'd like to still contribute, you still can.
So the point is, we need a little
Yeah,
more
a
love.
little more love.
We need a little more love, folks, because this show needs to remain on the air, and not meeting our goal does not help us.
Because as the Beatles once told us, all you need is love, right?
That's right.
All right, so there's your call to
It's
action.
done well by me. I like it.
There's your call to action. You can go to WMNF.org, hit that donate button, and then here's the key. The key is to make sure that the donation comes channeled to our show. The 3-letter moniker for our show is CON, short for The Conversation, right? The Conversation. So make a donation. We appreciate you so much. Hey,
Any
Joe,
small amount at this point will make a difference in any number at all.
we're
So,
right there. We're right there. We can see the finish line.
yeah,
we just got to
need
get
it.
there.
We need it. Thank you.
So, Joe, who's sitting next to you right there in studio with us today?
Well, we have the wonderful Miss Angela Birdsong. That's a great last name, by
Isn't
the way.
it?
I'm a little envious.
It's very cool.
Birdsong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Songbird.
That's right. So, Angela, you already are known by some in the community, but they may not know you in a real personal way. So we do this here on The Conversation. Let's talk a little bit about where you grew up and how you grew up in that situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I am actually a native New Yorker.
She's a native New Yorker.
Born and raised.
All right.
Yes.
We love that song.
My family immigrated from the Caribbean and South America into New York City. My father was born on the island of Barbados.
There it is.
Oh, yes.
There it is.
And my mother's side is from the country of Guyana.
So the
Yes.
northern rim of South America.
That's right.
Caribbean Queen.
And they
That's what
speak
you
English
is.
there. It's the only English-speaking country in South America because it was taken over by the British.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so when I was growing up as a child, we still referred to it as BG or British Guyana.
British Guyana. There was
Yes.
British Honduras as well.
There was a Dutch Guyana, which is now Suriname.
There you go.
And a French Guyana, which is still French, which is still owned by the French.
Wow.
Pretty amazing when you study the history. Wherever the what do I want to say, the dominant group at the time, wherever they sailed and they planted their flag.
Colonialization.
Yeah,
That's
well,
right.
that's a whole nother
Yes.
conversation. But
And-
Angela,
yes.
we don't mind talking about that if you want to get into that after we determine your personal narrative.
So you grew up in these are the beginnings of your parents' large family, small family that you grew up in?
One thing I do miss about not being in New York, I did have a lot of extended family members, which unfortunately I'm not as in touch with as I was before. But I had an aunt who lived to 100. My mother's going to be 100 in
Wow.
August. So
a great
there's
gene
lot
pool.
of,
That's a great gene
nieces,
pool.
nephews, yeah. My father was a police officer in Barbados. He served for the British.
Okay.
And then he came here and met my mom, fell in love.
As one does.
He brought his daughter with him. So I have an older sister who was born and raised in Barbados till the age of 10. And then he ended up at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he retired from the Fed.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you had, how many siblings then did you have?
So I actually have a brother, unfortunately, who passed away. We adopted a child because we were a foster care family, and we took in foster care children. So one became my sister, and then my older sister that I told you about.
Says a little bit about the family dynamic and the heart
What's
that's
one
beating in your
more?
chest. Yeah. What's one more? And of course, open
Yes,
to the possibilities.
open.
That's right.
And my mother never worked, so that was her job, taking care of children.
Oh,
Yes.
cool.
Big job back then.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we all chipped in on
Big
that.
job today too.
That's right. And so she has a great laugh, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
So what neighborhood did you actually grow up in? Is it
Corona, Queens. I was actually born in Bed-Stuy. I have some, a little memory of Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Brooklyn.
Yeah, and then we moved to Corona, Queens at the age of 9, about third grade. Yeah, and I stayed in that home. It was my grandparents' home. Yeah, my mother was actually born in Harlem.
Come on now.
Back in the day,
Come
with
on now.
W.E.B. Du Bois
Du Bois,
was running
yeah.
around,
Early Cotton Club days?
Harlem, Renaissance, Harlem Days,
Cotton
Cotton
Club.
Club, all that.
All the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff was going on.
Nice.
Yeah.
People wanted to go there and be there because it
People
was
wanted to be
very
in
hip.
Harlem.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
bet you.
So there it is. So Paul Simon would say you're the queen of Corona, right?
That's right.
Love that. Joey, there's your bell ring. Listen, for those of you that have already heard the bell ring several times, you know if you've listened to this show with any frequency, we ring that bell whenever there's something that's, of note that we need you to pay attention to.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this. When you were thinking Queen of Corona, Joey was already turning around, looking at the bell going, give me that bell, son. Give me
I
that
call
bell.
myself the Caribbean Queen.
I like that
Caribbean
too.
Queen.
Billy
That's
Ocean,
nice.
right?
That's
Billy
nice.
Ocean, that's
I
right.
saw him
Yeah.
in a record store one day.
Tell me about
Really?
we talked about this with other folks that have we've interviewed that have been from New York and had spent time in New York. So you were very familiar with the stoop, as it were, right? Your apartment building must have had that stair that led to the street.
Well, you know what? I actually never lived in a brownstone.
Okay.
My sister did, though,
Okay.
because she married a guy whose parents gave them the brownstone when they got married
Lucky
in
them.
Bed-Stuy.
Lucky
so they
them.
actually had the stoop.
How much is that property worth today?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, if you could.
They left.
Yeah.
They went to Texas, and now they're in Los Angeles. But, and believe it or not, I don't want to fast forward too much. When I did live in a brownstone, that was after I got married. But I did go to college. I went to Ithaca College, upstate New York. I majored in communications,
Absolutely.
TV, and radio.
Absolutely.
Then I went straight into working for a satellite news channel. I worked behind
In the
the
early
scenes
days of
in the
satellite news.
In satellite news, that's right. Our big competitor was CNN, and ours was owned by Group W and ABC.
Wow.
Yes, and so I did that, and then I went on to Lifetime Cable, and then I went on to my best job of my life was working for Black Enterprise Magazine
Come on
with
now.
Earl Graves,
Wow.
big millionaire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Black Enterprise and Jet
Black
were the
En-
two
Oh, yeah,
magazines of note
yeah.
for the African American community.
Yeah, so that was a great experience. I ended up, at that point, I married a recording artist named Edwin Birdsong.
Wow.
Yes.
Angela, we're finding out so much about you.
Yes. Yeah, his cousin Cindy was one of the Supremes.
Come on. This
Yes.
bell's going to get a workout today.
Yeah, and that is actually an American Indian name.
Okay.
Because, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So black people were catching hell, and so were Native Americans. So you did find that combination of black and Native
Of course.
American. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
So that's a little history lesson there.
So Edwin Birdsong was a musician, singer?
Yes, he was. He went to Juilliard. He was a great keyboard player, and his best friend in the whole world was Stevie Wonder.
Oh, come on. Listen, wait. And if
Yeah,
I
so
had
that's
known that,
my
Angela, I
son's
would have asked
godfather.
you to let's get Stevie on the show. I'm just saying.
It takes a lot
I'm
to
gonna,
move Stevie Wonder.
I'm going to say, Angela,
Takes
just
a lot.
move on down the couch because Stevie's in town. That is such a great story, though.
Yes,
Did you ever? Were
yes.
you ever in his company or in his presence?
Yes,
did
I
you?
was.
Come on, okay.
All the
Don't bury the
time.
lead, Angela.
All the
Don't
time.
bury the lead.
I remember
What was
one
Stevie
time,
like?
I was in the store.
Mm-hmm.
They love to always buy. Musicians always want to buy more keyboards, more
Yeah.
stuff, right? So we're in the store with my ex-husband, Stevie Wonder, and me. And someone says, "Hey, look, there's Stevie Wonder and Diana Ross."
No, get out of town.
That
was
Wow.
amazing.
That's amazing.
That must have been pretty
Oh,
cool.
wow.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Great personality. If you ever watch Carpool Karaoke
Yeah,
with
love
Stevie
it.
Wonder,
Love
that
it.
is his whole personality. There
Right.
you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
He's all personality.
And the straw that stirs the drink, as they say, and I'm sure he's suffering like a lot of us are. That Quincy Jones is no longer with us because Quincy
True.
gave us so much, and he and
Yeah.
Stevie were intertwined too for many years.
And I want to tell you something. The person that he dearly loved was a man named Martin Luther King. Mm-hmm. They were very good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And when Martin Luther King was killed, he really took that very, very hard. And, he fought and fought until Martin Luther King's birthday became a holiday.
Yes.
Yes. It was a personal thing for him. Yes.
I have read that before too, and
Yeah.
it's an amazing his support for that. Yeah, what a great.
That was a friend of his.
Yeah.
Just killed like that in cold blood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
He never got over it.
Not good.
And also, Stevie Wonder is in my personal songbook musical world is right at the top of the heap. I mean, he's like one of the greatest.
He's a triple threat.
geniuses.
He can sing. He can
he's
play.
amazing.
He can,
yeah,
yes,
yeah, he's
yes,
amazing.
Yes.
And your ex-husband Birdsong, what kind of music was he involved?
R&B.
R&B.
R&B,
Because
yeah.
I think that name is now familiar to me. I've been trying
But
to
you
think.
can look up his catalog. But the interesting thing about it is that Kanye West took one of his songs, recorded over that track, got a Grammy. So my ex-husband died as a Grammy Award winner.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, what an amazing story. That's amazing.
yes.
So now you're to kind of back up a little bit. You're growing up in
Corona, Queens.
Corona,
Yes.
Queens,
Queen of Corona.
and you're in school.
Yes.
And how did we make that transition from high school to Ithaca to media and you wanting to be that kind of person? involved.
Was that something that was always on your radar? Did you see somebody that inspired you on TV
and
or heard somebody on radio?
I always wanted to be a singer, really. I always wanted to be in show business.
Hence, marrying a musician, hence being around musicians.
I met Edwin Birdsong in the recording studio.
What was you doing? Back up. What were you doing?
And he
Studio
says,
musician?
I'm working on some tracks with Stevie Wonder.
Oh, stop. He played you, girl. He played you, Angela. And you said, sure, yeah, you know Stevie Wonder. And then Stevie comes walking through the door.
The funny thing about it is, he says, you know what? Can I have your phone number? I said, well, I don't really know you like that. Not a problem. So I get in my car. I go home. I hear something on my window. Bang, bang, some rocks. He said, well, I know where you live now. You may as well give me your number.
Oh,
Mr.
wow.
Birdsong.
Follow me home.
Mr. Birdsong.
Yeah, well.
Determination.
The rest was history, right?
Yeah.
We ended up with one child who turned out really well. He's a vice president of the bank, SBA lender. So
There you go.
Very good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is he here with you in Tampa?
he is, and yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So you were in the studio because you were working?
I really wanted to be a singer. That's what's
Yes.
my real ambition.
Where'd you get your voice lessons?
Actually,
You have to have some natural talent, obviously.
No, I
Angela.
actually studied voice in Ithaca College.
Okay.
Yes, and then I had a private teacher. She was a really good teacher because she warmed up Bernadette Peters, Cher. I had a very good teacher as well. Yes, and my mother is a classical pianist, so I grew up with music in the house. Yes,
That's where your ear, you develop your ear real early.
And now you can see me at Temple Terrace United Methodist as part of their praise team on Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m.
I see.
Well.
You need to go over there, Mario.
Well. We had no idea who was sitting down with us today.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
And isn't that
But
fun,
really,
Joe?
that was a compromise with my parents to get a degree in communications.
Ah,
All right,
you
okay,
see?
and a minor in music.
Oh.
They wanted to
yes.
make sure you had maybe
Yes,
a fallback
I had
position.
Caribbean parents, remember?
Yeah.
They weren't playing that game.
No.
Show business.
No.
Not so much.
Yeah.
Not so much.
How are we going to make a living doing
How are we
that?
going to make a living doing that?
Yeah.
You better
But
get
follow-
a real degree,
But
man.
you got to follow your heart. You know how that goes.
I'm glad I followed their advice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's not to say you couldn't sing.
I know show business is hard. It really
Very
is.
much so.
Sure it
And
is.
you know, if it's Tuesday, it's Texas. You're on the road all the time. It's not always as glamorous as it seems.
Not the early days,
And
anyway.
you better have bodyguards because crazy people can come after you too. You know,
Yeah.
so there's the flip side.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough. It can be a
to
tough
show
business.
is a flip.
can
Yeah.
be very
and
tough.
not this is no gender disparity here, but for women, maybe even a little bit tougher. Right?
Yes,
You
it's
know what I
hard.
mean?
It's hard.
Hard for everybody, but especially for the ladies
Show
that are out there
business
trying to make it.
is no joke.
Yeah.
It's a hard business.
Yeah.
Hey, if you'd like to join us here on the conversation and you've got a question or a comment, let me give that number out now so you guys can think of your questions and talk to Angela here with us. 813-239-9663. You can send us a text, 813-433-0885. Emails always welcome. DJ at WMNF.org. Joe standing by to take your phone calls. Jessica standing by to receive your emails. And Joe and I are just going to keep talking with Angela.
By the way, that's another Joe standing by taking calls.
Joe Remo
That's Joe Kokomo.
from Remo.
From
Joe
Remo.
Remo from Kokomo. We don't
That's
know.
right.
We just know his
Joe
name
Remo
is Joe.
from Kokomo. So then you did all that media work, and you said you ended up in this job that was your perfect job.
Yes.
Yes. Talk a little bit, if you will, about that.
Okay, so I ended up working for the Earl Graves and his son, Butch Graves. So I ended up there actually doing ad sales.
Great entry-level position. Could be lucrative.
And I absolutely loved it.
Learn the business.
And of course, some great people came by. Ozzie Davis, Spike Lee. You know, they all came by to say hello to the greatness of Earl Graves.
I had no idea when Angela was going to sit down with us today that she was
All
going to
of
be
this.
such a name dropper.
All of this.
Such a name dropper,
Yeah,
but I
really.
love it. I'm leaning in.
Yeah,
Come
all
on.
of this.
The temptation is to ask, well, what were they like? You know,
Yeah.
you probably just spent a little bit of
Spike
time.
Lee?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, nice, cool guy,
Really?
you know.
About that big.
About that, so tall.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Ozzie Davis was still with us, and he came by.
Ozzie, the great Ozzie Davis.
Yeah. So a lot of great people used to come by because it was New York City, it was Fifth Avenue.
And it was Black Enterprise
And
magazine.
it was Black Enterprise magazine.
Yeah.
So I was with Stevie Wonder in the evening, and I was Earl Graves in the afternoon. You know, it was.
Did you pinch yourself? Did you have to pinch
my
yourself
20s were
sometimes?
my roaring 20s.
Yes, they were. And was this the decade of the 80s, 70s,
Yes,
80s?
it was the decade of the 80s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was.
And
What a
I-
life you were leading.
So
What a
far, so
life.
good, right?
Yeah.
So far, so good.
And this is during the time that you're married.
I got married in 87.
So
Yeah, that's
single
during
throughout the
same
early
time
part of
I
the
got
80s.
married.
Hello.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. They said, you're not going to get Edwin Birdsong to marry you. I said, yeah, okay. Well,
Watch me.
If he doesn't marry me, then he'll go back to the life he knew before he met me.
No,
Bye.
and he chased you
Bye.
down. He
Going
chased you down,
on
throwing
like
rocks
that.
at your window.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that when did you leave that behind?
Okay, so what happened was I got pregnant, okay, had a baby, and my mother said, well, you'll know who you're married to when you have children. All right, so this was not working out. He was kind of like a musician, no steady paycheck, and I ran home to my parents in Tampa, Florida.
Okay, they had made their way here from New
They
York,
had from New York. My father retired from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York.
as you said. Sure.
And retired to Florida, which is very close to the Bajan, Barbados, right?
Yes, yes.
It wasn't. He didn't go back to the Caribbean, but he went to
He wanted
warmer
steamy,
climates.
humid,
subtropical
There you
Florida.
go.
Yeah,
There
I
you go.
moved out of New York,
Yeah.
and so that's how I ended up here, following them here.
Well, good on your
And
parents.
my younger sister was still with them. Yeah.
Because we'll get to the part where you're working now as the president of the Democratic Hillsborough
yeah.
County, I say
Democratic
Hispanic
Black
Caucus.
Caucus.
Yeah. But the reality is, all of that you had experienced prior to,
Yes.
kind of led you to your leadership
It
role.
helps
and
me. It helps me. Yes.
And you've been
Yes.
in leadership in our community for a good little while. So when did you come to Tampa?
So I came to Tampa in 1990 with a 3-month-old.
Wow.
Yes.
wowie,
Is that
wow, wow.
35 years ago?
Wow.
Mercy, it goes fast.
It goes
Angela goes super fast.
Yeah.
So what were your first impressions of our fair city? Had
Hard
you been here
hard
before?
to make a living, but
Okay.
beautiful weather.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
you had come
it
from
was
New
a
York.
struggle. It was a struggle.
Sure.
Yeah, finding my footing. I went through several jobs. I did end up at the Tampa Tribune for a little while.
Okay.
Yes.
And ad sales there?
And ad sales there.
Okay.
And then I went into radio sales. It was called, and I did talk radio and news talk and sports talk radio.
Was that WFLA?
That was not FLA. It was Genesis Communications.
Okay.
Small group of stations, only 5. Yeah, and I worked there. And then I went into actually commercial real estate for a little while.
I could see you being successful in that market
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah,
Great communication
I didn't
skills.
really love it. I didn't really
No.
love it.
Right.
Yeah. And then I ended up in the funeral business.
Really?
I got a degree in funeral
I'll
directing.
spare the comment that I was about to say, which is, that's a business that people are just dying to get into. But I'm
I
just going to
know.
leave it there.
I
Should I ring the bell on that, Joey?
No.
Yeah, that's. I don't know if
And
that's not
Big booze. Big
and
booze
then
went up
I
in the
landed
crowd.
where I am right now, which is a health and life insurance agent, and I help Medicare
So wait a minute.
recipients.
Hold on, Angela. Hold on. Let's back the tape up a minute.
Yes, yes.
'Cause right after I dropped that bad joke,
Yes.
you tacked away from it. But I'd like to know more because I'm always intrigued. Can you share a little bit more about your experience in that business? Sincerely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Because we've all seen 6
How
Feet
long did
Under.
you do that?
We've all
4
seen 6
years.
Feet Under,
Really?
the
Okay.
HBO series.
Yes, yeah.
Which was
yeah.
wildly
5
entertaining.
years I was there. Believe it or not, I always would sing, and I would sing occasionally for funerals.
Really?
Okay. Now, what you don't realize is that if that loved one is not attached to you, you're not in grief.
So
Right.
the sound comes out
No,
differently
so
from
what
your
I'm
body.
saying is that if you're working at a funeral home, you are not in grief. But the people love you. You get a lot of love
'Cause
from
they're
the
in
people
grief.
because it's the worst day of their lives.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And they appreciate you being there.
Mhm, supporting them.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's a business where you get a lot of love. People are so happy that you're there for them when they really need you.
Another fellow empath, Joey.
Yeah, absolutely.
They always gravitate towards us. Have you noticed?
yeah,
Most of the
absolutely.
people, I'd say a wild majority of the percentage of the people that we've interviewed have kind of at some point revealed to us that they have that empathic gene.
Or maybe it's just that the human story is more about empathy than we realize. Maybe that's what it
that's
is.
a great
is that
point. That's a
people
great
get,
point.
People get in here and they start talking about how they've helped others, how they've sensed others' grief, how they've sensed others' pain. And I think that that's a very human thing, in
And
fact.
believe it or not, funeral directors come up on the happiness scale as some of the happiest people.
Really?
Yeah, because
Interesting.
You would think that would be the
and
opposite.
you would think it would be the opposite, but people are so grateful when
Right.
you're there for them. In
That
their
you get
time of
you get
need.
overwashed with that.
Yes, in your time of need. Yeah, they really are very, very grateful.
That's a great point.
And from singing at funerals, when I was looking for a job, I said, I could do that. I could, it's just that I got a very warm feeling when it wasn't my loved one there. Right.
Right.
You had that healthy separation, so you could,
Yes.
without losing your voice, because I can't even imagine if you had to express that in a song and you're grieving. How do you overcome that?
Yeah.
How do you sing
So
through
I
that?
ended up working in the funeral home doing what they call pre-need arrangements. So you help the family arrange things
Correct.
prior to someone passing away.
Correct.
And then when they passed away, I would help them with the
Facilitate everything.
facilitate everything and the grave spaces and things and
Right,
things
right.
like that. And then I decided to, maybe I could become a funeral director. So I did go to school for funeral directing, but then they told me, well, you have to go a whole year as an intern and make like no money. And I'm like, no, I can't do that.
Have we ever determined, Joey, who came up with that whole concept of the intern program? I mean, why can't you pay an intern? It's the same argument that why come we can't pay college athletes?
Right.
You know what I mean? Now we can through
Yeah.
the NIL.
Right,
Now with
right.
their images
Right.
and their likenesses
Yes.
and their names. But for all those years, those young athletes, men and women, were out there giving their all, man, laying it on the
And
line.
some of their families were very poor, too.
Thank you, and getting no compensation for it. So I think that we're trying to.
I think
to make it
historically,
right now.
I think historically, interns were created without pay because it was a way of testing your commitment, and it was a way of saying,
Well, we're giving
it was
you
a rite of
experience.
passage.
Experience.
You can
Yeah.
put it on your resume.
Yeah.
Right.
But
But
nowadays,
you're starving in the
I
meantime.
don't even know how you could do it nowadays.
You can't.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
I don't think you can. Hey, let's remind everybody who we are
Okay.
here at WMNF.
Hi, I'm Rena, and you're listening to The Conversation with Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter on WMNF 88.5 Tampa.
Wow,
Beautiful,
Rena.
silky smooth Rena.
Rena, she has the voice. She has such an amazing
Yeah.
voice. Rena is one of our programmers here at WMNF.
okay,
And
okay.
You couldn't find a more professional radio narration voice than that.
Well, we're going to put Angela Birdsong to the test because she's going to record
She'll do
one.
it. She'll
She'll
do it.
record one for us, and we'll see. We'll put them up
We'll see.
against one
Okay.
another. Once again, if you'd like to join us and you have a question or a comment, 813-239-9663. Email dj@wmnf.org.
And you know what I like about that story that you just shared is that I think that probably a lot of people that are not connected to the funeral business, and there is a business
It's a
side.
business.
And obviously everything is a business, unfortunately or
Yeah,
fortunately in
it
our
is.
culture. So the point is, I think some people think that maybe funeral parlors and funeral directors are a little predatory and they're trying to make a buck and they're not sincere. And I think that obviously that could certainly be out there. That's the way it's portrayed often in comedies and film, right? That the funeral director
6 Feet Under, the HBO series.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really nice that you shared that you felt like you're helping people in that process and
Yeah.
giving them something they need.
And their
Yes,
moment of biggest
yes.
need, right, Angela?
True. A good funeral director, really knows how to deal with families, because they know that they're in grief, and grief is real.
And it's devastating.
And it's devastating.
It's
devastating.
Yeah. It's
So
all
after that, I left the funeral profession and went to a place called Banker's Life in Colonial Penn, and
that name sounds
became
familiar.
a Medicare agent,
Oh, really?
dealing a lot with seniors, which was very similar from when I was in the funeral business, because we used to do dinners with seniors and encourage them to do their pre-need. So now I was able to help them with Medicare, life insurance, long-term care, annuities, critical illness. So I loved it. It gave me this whole diverse portfolio of products I could offer people, and I've been doing that for 11 years, almost 11 years.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
and take it on good account. She's very talented. All of her life's experiences that have brought her to where she is today is also part and parcel to her experience with helping people.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So,
you know, my father being a police officer, he believed in service.
service
Yeah.
and a sense of right and wrong, a good, healthy sense of right and wrong. So, Angela, that was the experience I had when you helped me navigate some of those waters as well.
With your parents. And how old are your parents
I
now?
thank you so much for that. Dad is 96, closing in every day on 97. Mom is 94, soon to be 95. So,
Wow.
you know, and
my mom's going to be 100 in August, so these guys are hanging in there.
almost 77 years. April 10th will be 77 years married. I don't know how they've done it. Well, we lovingly say that a couple of things have to happen. First of all, you've got to start early, right? I mean, they got married at 20 and 18, so you've got to start real young. Number two, you have to live a long life. You've got to avoid illness and accident and calamity. You've got to survive. Essentially, you just have to survive. And then the third thing, a little lesser known perhaps, but you've got to avoid being stabbed in the neck in the middle of the night because, I mean, you know, think about it. There's a joke there. You guys are supposed to laugh. Because think about it. You know somebody so well. Do you know how they know how to push your buttons?
Yeah.
So how do you do that? How do you go the distance?
Yeah, I
But
couldn't last 5 years, so I don't know.
There you go. 5 years, my parents could do that standing on their head, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm grateful. I still
did
have
5
them.
years once.
Okay. Yeah, I have a great boyfriend.
He
last
did
10
5 years, 1 year.
That's right.
How the
That's
saying
right.
goes,
That's
Joey?
right. Yeah. So here's an interesting idea.
Uh-huh.
Had you been a singer, you might not have been somebody who was dedicated to service to others the way you are today. Think of that.
Maybe. Although, you know, some of those celebrities do a lot of
charitable work.
charitable work. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
They do. They do.
Because that would have been during the time right after We Are the
And
World, too.
athletes
Think
too.
about that.
And
That's true.
athletes,
Well, that's true.
They give up their time and treasure. They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's an option.
Well, it is, but that's also about the good upbringing at home. That's the stuff that you get from the house.
So while you have been doing this, which you are currently still doing,
Yes.
you
I have a black job.
you became involved in the political life of Tampa.
Yes, I did. You know what? I always thought somewhere in the back of my mind I might like to run for office one day. Mm-hmm. And I was in a group called BNI. And there was also another insurance agent there. He only worked with attorneys doing insurance for them. So he said, you know what, Angela, I really want to meet some black attorneys. I said, well, I know there's a bar association for black attorneys in Tampa. Because my sister's married to an attorney. He's an attorney. She's married to an attorney. He belongs to a black chamber. I mean, so I found it here. George Edgecombe Bar Association, being headed up by a lady named Fentress Driscoll.
She's hot.
You know that girl?
She's hot.
Now our state rep.
Yeah, she's very good. Very bright.
She said, well, if you want to sponsor one of her events, it's $1,500. He said, oh, that's kind of expensive. Just buy tickets to their next dinner. At that dinner, I was sitting with a guy named Mark, let me see, our former state attorney, Warren, was at that table with us. Mm-hmm. And they said, oh, why don't you come to a Democratic Party meeting? I said, oh, yeah, I didn't know that where the meetings are. So they invited me. I'm at the Black Caucus over there. The president at the time was Robin Lockett. Yeah.
These are all community leaders. The Mark I think you were speaking of was Mark Hennessy.
Mark Nash.
Mark
Nash. I'm sorry.
Mark Nash. Okay, Mark Nash
was
and
at the table.
Andrew Warren.
And Andrew Warren was
sure.
at the table.
Sure.
Yes. So that's how I started out in politics in Tampa. And then I joined a group called Roos Lists that trains political candidates, only women, right? So I went to their class, and a lady that was running the organization said, Angela, I got a race I want you to consider. It's against a guy named, who did I run against?
County Commission?
County Commission. He's still there. So I ran, he said, there's a race in County Commission. I want you to consider it. And I did. They trained me, and I ran twice in that race.
Wow.
And we remember supporting you. I remember that vividly.
Yeah, I ran twice, yeah.
Wow. So so suddenly now you're in this whole another world.
Right. So I'm in this
how does
political
that?
world.
There you go.
Yeah.
Something a little foreign to you, maybe.
But now I'm in it now.
Right.
Oh, it's hard to believe.
But it's
Maybe
still
8
public
years
service.
now?
You know, a lot of people say politicians.
It absolutely is public service.
But I
yes.
think that's a misnomer. I think that it should be more of public service in the way that it's intended, not necessarily politics, because these days politics and politicians, that's almost a pejorative. Right, Joey?
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, well, we don't think of, we think
Well,
of,
you know what? The thing is, there's Republicans and there's Democrats. And Democrats haven't really changed that much. They still believe in affordable housing, livable wages. They want to support unions. And then you got the other side that is off the reservation.
Oh, they've completely lost their direction.
They have lost their direction.
Their compass isn't even working anymore. Can I take a phone call, Angela?
Yes, please do.
Let's
Please
see.
do.
Yeah, of course. Let's see Mike in Sarasota, what he has to say. Good morning, Mike. How are you? Good afternoon.
Well, thank you very much for taking my call. I was calling because I heard that your guest, Ms. Birdsong, was the director or the head of the Black Caucus for the Hillsborough Democratic Party.
Correct.
I want you to know that I heard the news a couple of weeks ago about Russell Miller, who was being suppressed by some forces in the Democratic Party for his pro-Palestinian activism. And so I called in to another WMNF show, Surly Voices, and asked about that. And one of the hosts said that she had gone to a meeting of the Democratic Party where they were going to discuss it, and that the various people who attended were not allowed to speak about it, and that the committee actually shut out, the executive committee actually shut out anybody from commenting on it, and then made their decision in secret. So I would just like to ask Ms. Birdsong what she thinks of that whole process and what she thinks of that whole effort to suppress a voice for human rights in the Hillsborough County Democratic Party.
Okay.
Mike, thanks so much for your call. We'll take you off the air and let Angela answer that. Thank you, Mike.
I would love to address that because Russ Miller was a very, very good friend of mine. And what do you do when someone you care about goes off the reservation? Okay. He decided that Gaza was the hill that he wanted to die on. Now, let me tell you something. As the president of the Hillsborough County Democratic Black Caucus, black people, the majority of us, are in full support of Palestinians and what they've gone through because black people know what it's like to be a second-class citizen in your own country. We went through slavery, segregation, Jim Crow, the whole 9 yards, right? Over 1 million people died just in the passage coming over from Africa. Now, the problem with Russ Miller is he decided to go after the members of our Democratic Jewish Caucus. How in the world does that help one child in Gaza? Don't know. But he even told a personal friend of mine that in the Jewish Caucus that she is for genocide. You know, we just can't have that kind of talk going on in the party. We have so many things that we have to address, so many issues we have to address right now to have dissension and all that going on. Believe me, this is not the time.
Counterproductive.
Very counterproductive. So they did
Serves no purpose.
So Nikki Fried, who is Jewish and is our state party chair, wanted to just get him out the party.
Yeah.
Okay. But they told her you had to have 2/3 vote from the Democratic Party in Hillsborough County. There's over 200 members, like almost 300, I think. To get all those people in one room, we tried. We had a 4-hour meeting, and then they said, okay, well, number one, only members can vote. So we shut the other people out, right? And plus, we believe there were some press members in there too. Okay.
You never know when the moles are going to infiltrate.
You know, they have a way of showing up. So then they said, well, look, what you can do is suspend the gentleman. So we had another meeting, and we were able to get the majority of the people to vote for suspension. For 2 years.
That's right.
Okay. I heard that he's suing the party, but the thing is, we just need peace right now, and we need to be focused because the other side is mobilized, energized, and they are well financed.
Well financed.
Okay.
And focused.
And focused. So we have to be the same way. We just can't have it. I'm sorry for Russ. I love him like a brother. He's been very helpful, but we had to part company.
I like what you said there, that this was the hill he chose
Well,
to
that's
die on.
certainly, yeah. And by the way,
Thanks for your question, Mike.
For Mike, that's a pretty inside
Inside baseball.
observation.
Yeah,
because
inside baseball.
of your friendship. And my only comment would be, it's obvious that if a party needs to be unified at any time in the history of America,
I know.
it's the
Better be now.
It's a party now.
It better be now.
Yeah, it better be now. So we are dealing
And
with
to our Palestinian friends, hey, we love you. We want you to know that we are sympathetic to your cause, but we cannot have people who are going to be nasty to our fellow Democrats.
Yeah, we got enough to do with fight the outside influences. We can't have the
know,
enemy
we can't
inside
have
the
it.
house.
yeah.
Back to happier conversations,
Okay.
Angela. I wouldn't ask you to sing for us now, but I might. So, warm up
bring any
the
music. I
pipes.
didn't bring
Warm up
any
the pipes. What is your week typically like now?
Well, let me just tell you
Sure.
that the Democratic Black Caucus is a Florida organization, and we are not part of the Congressional Black Caucus. I get that all the time, but that's just electeds, okay? Our new Democratic National Party chair is a guy named Tim Martin, and we're expecting great things from him. He's never lost a statewide race in Minnesota.
Wow.
Yeah, so
In Minnesota.
in Minnesota.
Last time I checked, it's cold up there and rather white.
And he's on a nationwide tour now, introducing himself to Democrats across the country. And as I mentioned, our state party chair is Nikki Fried.
Nikki Fried.
That is who we report to directly. We are caucus, so we our state chair is Trevor Mallory, and we have about 20 different caucuses across the state of Florida.
67 counties, correct?
67 counties. Well, we're about a little over 20 counties, where most of the black people
Almost a
are.
third, sure.
And we have a newly elected chair in Hillsborough County. Her name is Vanessa Lester. Yeah, so she's got her hands full. Because we are a little behind on registration in Hillsborough County, about 1,000 voters. It's still doable, okay? But our mayor is still blue. Our city council is still blue in Tampa.
And isn't that where the rubber meets the road, Angela? We're getting into a little more inside baseball now, but isn't that where the rubber meets the road in outreach and voter registration?
Yes, yes.
So the team that really has it going on where that's concerned is the one that really gets an opportunity to make inroads.
And
the
you know what?
process.
And just to let you know, I'm the president for Hillsborough County, and we have about 100,000 black registered Democrats. So that's who I'm in charge of. And the governor of Florida has canceled all the vote by mail ballot requests. So we have to let all of our voters know that if they don't renew their ballot,
gotta renew.
it ain't coming.
Yeah. And we get used to that because, listen, there's a reason, I think, and we're going to go down that wormhole for just a second, Joey. But if people are putting obstacles, and I believe that's the way you pronounce that word, if people are putting obstacles in front of you constantly,
Yes.
and you're having to jump them or go around them or go underneath them, there's got to be a reason for it. And the reason is they're putting their thumb on the scale. They're trying to tilt the board. And as a result,
Absolutely.
if you listen, if you had a good platform,
That's right.
if you had good arguments on your side, you wouldn't need to do any of that. But if you don't, then you got to cheat to win. It's just that simple, And I get it. Wait, I can hear people yelling at the radio right now saying, "Well, that's
Talking the
not
truth.
that's not what they say about NASCAR because the NASCAR motto is if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying." But that doesn't apply in politics, and that doesn't apply in constitutional rights and in how we govern ourselves, right? So it should be fair. If it were, and you had a good argument, then you'd win on the merits. Joey, that's not what's happening right now.
I would put it more like, well, my response to that would be this. If you don't want open, fair, easy voting, easy registration that allows everyone in a democracy to participate, then you are a fascist or an authoritarian, or you
Well,
are
you're headed down that
dictator.
road.
You're
Yes,
heading
you
down
are.
that road.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you not want
You're on that bus.
everyone to make a contributing decision to the voting process? And so, yeah, you can say, they want to stack it for these various reasons. We've had all of these redistricting and rerouting of districts and gerrymandering, all these things that have gone on for years and years. We've had hanging chads. We've had all this stuff. The point really is that if you are truly a believer of democracy, then you want to make voting accessible to everybody.
I want to tell you, there's a bill in Tallahassee right now where they want to have absentee voting only. So that means you got to be out of the state or you have to be in a wheelchair, basically.
How is that possible? I mean, that's disenfranchising everybody, including me, you, and Joe.
Yes, it is. They
Everybody
want everybody
in the studio.
because they know with these things, there's a certain percentage of people that's going to drop off.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they're most likely Democrats.
And those elections are won and lost in the margins. And so people know, listen, this is a fine science. This is no longer a divining rod or a Native American spiritualist doing some kind of a dance to, we're not summoning up the other world. We know, we have the data and it's empirical. So why are they making it so difficult? That question might not be answered because, they're just too far down the road. They're looking back saying, we're going to do what we got to do. Good luck.
So aside from those issues as well, what are some of, in your current role with the Black Caucus, what are some of the other responsibilities you have? Or what is your day? What are your days
That's a
involved
good
in?
question. What's your week like?
Okay, so usually when a dignitary comes in, national dignitary, like Hillary Clinton, President Biden, and
Professor Eddie Glaude, who I love Eddie Glaude.
Oh, I wish he would come.
I know.
He's come to Sarasota, but I wish he'd come to Tampa.
A couple years ago, he addressed the breakfast that takes place, Black Leadership Conference, the breakfast that takes place.
The Martin Luther King breakfast?
No, not that one. Not that one. It's and I could never go because it's always at 6 a.m. and for reasons I can't drag myself out of the bed better. I mean, it's like
the Martin Luther King breakfast
is
at 7.
Yeah, well, that's it. And he was a keynote speaker. I just love him.
I missed it.
He's very smart.
But so we're going to be entertaining former Governor O'Malley on Saturday, and he'll be coming to Allen Temple in the morning at 10 o'clock, and then he's going to be at the Presbyterian Church in Apollo Beach about 2 o'clock, and he is on the Save Social Security tour. And when these dignitaries come in, they want to see black folks. They usually ask specifically to see the Democratic Black Caucus.
Do we have any further intel? I guess you'll know more after this weekend regarding Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and the things that are coming after us.
That Mr. Doggy or Doge said that...
Doggy. I believe it's pronounced Doggy.
Doggy, yeah. He said that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that tell you what he's thinking about doing? Mm-hmm. He's going after Social Security. He's going after Medicare. He's going after Medicaid. Right now, they already passed a bill in the Congress.
I don't think that's going to fly.
It hasn't gotten to the Senate yet, but it flew through the Congress, and they said they want to take $800 billion out of Medicaid.
Which I don't think it sounds like a big amount. I mean, it sounds like
a big amount.
It is, but
it's going to hurt a lot of poor people in America. That's what it's going to do.
100%, and that's why I say I don't think it's going to fly. I think that people are starting to realize now.
I used to think that we had a chance, but our fate is in the hands of Republicans who are scared for their lives.
Yeah.
Okay? They are really threatening the lives of their family, their children. Okay? It's real. And they have let these crazy people, these criminals out of jail. These people will do whatever Trump says.
Didn't that happen back in the early 80s? Didn't Fidel Castro say, "Oh, you want some of our people? We're going to send them to you right now. Get ready. Here come the Marielitos."
That's right.
And we got and we got Scarface the movie as a result, which was a great movie, by the way.
I mean, these people are serious criminals,
Sure
and they will do whatever Trump tells them to do.
No, here we are.
Here we are.
We have to be mindful. Because we're on the precipice of going down. Joe, you talked about this morning in pre-production before we got on the air.
Yes.
That there are things that are happening presently that in our lifetime, and we're all plus or minus around the same age, that we've never seen before.
No,
my
absolutely.
mother's 100, says she never seen it before,
and
she lived through World War II.
And this is all the more reason, folks, to support WMNF.
Through apartheid here in the United States, which is to say Jim Crow.
Support WMNF because this is your vote.
Yes,
this is your voice.
This is our voice.
Because regardless of what your personal politics may be, and whether your party may be, the changes that are occurring are very, very much a part of authoritarianism, and we should all be very concerned.
And they're real. Joey. They're real. We're not making any of this.
This
up.
is not. Maybe it's going to happen.
And oh, by the way, this is not a drill, as they say. Because sometimes we would get that. This is not a drill.
Right.
We hear, in grade school, we always knew when the fire drills were coming. So we would always get excited because we didn't have to do.
It's not going to be parties anymore. It's not going to be a white thing or a black thing. It's going to be the have and the have-nots.
Yeah,
right.
It's going to be the oligarchs and the people that work for them. That's what they want.
Yeah. Angela, you couldn't have said that any better.
Well, but didn't we study history? Has anybody not studied any kind of history? This doesn't.
And
It's
didn't
not
they tell us
sustainable.
about Project 2025? Didn't they say that with all
they've
the
been telling
things
us
they
all
were
along.
going to do?
They've been telling us all along.
But they didn't believe it. They didn't
why?
think so.
You know why? Because
Yeah.
everything that comes out of that man's mouth is not believable. Because
Well, he said he didn't know anything about Project 2025.
yeah, no.
But his friends, all of his colleagues, all of his cronies, they wrote it. Mm-hmm. And now they're working for him. So how did that work?
I just like the look on the First Lady's face last night when he announced that she was doing such a great job working on a certain project, and she had a look on her face like, what? What project are you talking about? I'm down in Mar-a-Lago, Chief. I'm not doing anything project-wise. That was beautiful.
Yeah, most of his family is kind of tuned out right now.
Angela, we've got a few minutes left in show.
Okay.
Before we get out of here, is there anything else that that you'd like to
I want
impart?
to tell you that
Please.
we are looking for all Democrats to join us in this fight, in this resistance, especially against the governor of Florida and whoever else they put in his place. I mean, there was an article in the Florida Phoenix that the governor of Florida is the worst governor for black people. He won't let us vote, no diversity, no equity, no inclusion.
Have mercy.
Cleaning out our faculty out of the colleges and
Joey and I,
universities.
born and raised here in Florida, we have a soft spot in our heart for our state, but it's not the state that we recognize anymore.
If you want to
It's
join
hard
the
to watch.
resistance, our website is hcdbc.org, which just stands for Hillsborough County Democratic Black Caucus.org. My phone number is 813-476-4837, 476-4837. And all Democrats are welcome, because we know if it wasn't for white folks, we still have slavery, segregation, Jim Crow, all those things, okay? So we want good people to join the resistance as well.
And we're becoming a melded, blended society anyway. I mean, some of the most beautiful children walking around today are the product of mixed
And we can get you to do
diverse marriages.
Just small things like write postcards or call our voters on the phone. Phone banks is so easy. Everything's right in your cell phone now. The script, we show you how to go into the van system. It is so easy. Okay, and then we
need to leverage that technology. Use it.
Yeah.
And then what we're doing now is using QR codes to register people. So on our cards, there's a QR code. It takes them right to the supervisor of elections, and boom, they're in the system.
So this is a moment to say that we support voting in our country.
Yes.
And we support, and as a
Everybody
result,
needs to vote.
the expansion of that thought process is to say we also support WMNF radio, because
That's right.
by proxy, by continuation of that line of thought, it is one and the same, right? So if you believe in liberty, you believe in the freedom, you believe in the opportunities presented by a just and open society, that's what WMNF does as well.
Well, your actions in how you spend money. Dr. King said,
That's right. No
budgets.
Target,
He
no
said,
Walmart.
That's right.
We
He
can't
said,
go no more.
budgets are a moral document.
We can't go on Amazon.
Yeah. So that's what.
And
it's about.
he also said there's always the right time to do the right thing. Remember?
Amen.
So
Amen.
let's make sure that we all.
Just go to the Google machine, type in what you want. Don't go to Amazon.
That's right.
And also, that number I gave you is also good if you're needing assistance with Medicare or Medicaid, life insurance, 813-476-4837.
Angela Birdsong, everybody. She is a gem, and she is a vibrant person in our community that we depend on for her leadership. We're so grateful that you came in today to speak with us, Angela. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you,
Thank
Angela.
you
This
for
has been
having
wonderful.
me.
We hope we did a good
Absolutely.
job for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for
Yes.
joining us. What do you got, Joey?
And I want to just say thank you to Jessica Green, our board op, the OG with the magic. And I also want to say thank you to Joe Remo on the phones, Joe Remo from Kokomo. And then finally, please stay tuned for Jim Bannon. He is the master of musical merriment. We're getting ready to play music for you.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you again next week on the radio, as they say. This is Mario Nunez for Joe King Carter on WMNF Tampa.
All right.
Didn't that sound good?
This is The Scoop for Wednesday.